Pranakasha livestream.
Hey folks, it's Matt of Pranakasha Productions, and today we have Tim Russ on the show. Yep. Tuvok himself from Star Trek Voyager. Woo. Okay. But I'm cool, I can handle this. So, everybody knows you as Tuvok, of course, from Star Trek. And then a fair number of people know that you're also a rather accomplished astronomer.
Amateur astronomer, absolutely, yes.
And also, at least because of Patricia Tallman, because I watched Patricia Tallman's show, I found out that you're also a very accomplished blues guitarist and singer.
Yeah, been doing that for even longer, yes.
Yeah. And God dang it, I was hoping I could play my violin with you on the show, but you're not at home, so there's no guitar of suitable quality available.
Yeah, I don't have anything here. I think I have a backup. I have a small portable telescope here somewhere, but that's about all. I don't have my other stuff. All my other stuff is at home.
Okay, well, I don't really know any songs for telescope and violin, but we could make one up.
It would be an interesting sound, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, actually, something dubstep could work.
Yeah,
dubstep. We could dubstep, telescope, and violin.
Yeah.
All right, we got that. All right, so now I got cheater notes, which is basically your Wikipedia page. A couple things jumped out at me. Number one, I did not know that you were on iCARLY. My kids used to watch that show.
Yeah, I did. They did 4 or 5 seasons. I did about 10 shows with them. Yeah, recurring.
That's cool. You're the principal.
Yes, I was. Principal Franklin.
Okay. Was there any Tuvok in that principal?
No, not at all.
Really?
Very much a divergence from the Vulcan stuff that I was doing before. He was very animated, and the show is extremely animated. So, he had to be a likable, affable, almost like a dad type figure for some of the kids and things.
Okay.
He was always more on the kids' side than he was on some of the other teachers' sides. That
cool.
We were always angry at the students for one thing or another, and wanting to punish and scold them. And he was always like that sort of buffer between the two of them. So it was pretty cool.
That's fun. Well, I can't remember. Do you have any kids or any nieces or nephews or anything like that?
I have two. I have a niece and a nephew, and I have a daughter, just one daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Well, then you knew how to play that role in.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Then also, aren't you part of Space Command at some point? Mark Zickery's Space Command?
No, I never did. I never worked on Space Command.
Oh. For some reason, I thought you might have been, but
no, I never worked on it.
Do you know Mark Zickery?
I know the project. Vaguely familiar with that. And I think they shot. He had a couple of sets that were, I think, in the Valley that he worked.
Yeah,
with. Something.
I actually visited the set.
Yeah, and I think that they might have used some of his sets for Fifth Passenger, which is what a movie I was in that Scott Baker and had put out, I think they used one of his sets and they redressed it.
Well, that's a nice twist of fate, because Mark is constantly trying to either buy, barter, or steal other people's sets and redressing them for his show.
Because he needs a variety of locations.
Yeah.
And such. And so, if you want the story to get, to be able to be in a different place and out of the same thing every day and the same location, the same settings that you've shot 6 ways to Sunday. Yeah. You've got to find out where can I get other sets and other locations without having to build them, because the problem is those things, it's expensive to do that.
Which segues into it. I've noticed on your Wikipedia page that you're not only an actor, but you're also a director and a producer.
Yeah, so, mostly directing. I try to avoid producing because I really don't like it very much.
Okay. What, Tuvok doesn't like spreadsheets?
Oh my God, no. Don't get me anywhere near paperwork. So it's not really necessary for me to do that. If I'm offered that opportunity as a title, fine, I'll take it as a title. But I'm not, I'm not bearing down on somebody's laptop trying to figure stuff out. No, thank you. I'd rather be on the creative end of the project. So,
That's more fun.
yeah.
Yeah. And directing. And then have you done any editing as well, or
Not on hands, no. I've worked very closely with some editors on a couple of projects here and there.
okay?
Usually what I do is prefer to get a really good editor to work with, and then I'll let them make a couple of passes, and we'll give them notes, and then we go back, and if we have to do any fine tuning, then I'll work with him. I'll work over his shoulder or whatever to see what we can do to tweak.
What you like?
Yeah, but
Okay.
most of the key is really just to find somebody who's really good to start with,
Right.
because they'll feel it and they'll sense it, and they'll know where the timing is on the scenes, where the arc of the scenes are. What the pace of the scenes should be, and all that good stuff, and be able to put it together. It is an art form, let me tell you.
Yeah, I know.
An art form.
Well, as a YouTuber, I have to do everything, so I definitely do tons of editing. Not for this type of a show, but other stuff where it's actually like a show, like a sci-fi show or something like that. Then all about that stuff. Yeah. So, but it sounds like you actually did what you just described. The details that you just described sounds like you actually do know a lot about editing. Maybe not how to press the buttons on the computer, but you know what you want in pretty fine detail. Yeah,
you cannot. As far as directing goes, when I was doing my internship at Paramount while I was on Voyager, we had to do an internship for directing.
Oh, cool.
To be able to direct one of the episodes, we had to go 2 or 3 years of behind the scenes work on the show so that we were familiar with every single state.
Oh, nice.
That was the prerequisite if you wanted to direct an episode of that show.
Okay.
If you walk in there and say, I'd like to direct an episode, well, they'll say, okay, here's what you have to do. And everybody had to do the same thing. They had to observe directors on set, shadow them. You had to go to pre-production meetings. You had to go to post editing meetings when the scenes were cut together.
Okay.
Watch what the executive producers liked and didn't like. You had to go to and what I spent most of my time was sitting in the editing bay. I would go to the studio and just sit in the editing bay and watch them cut the dailies together, the raw footage, rough cuts, and then listen to what they would say about, I wish I had, this shot, or they didn't give me that shot, or I wish I had this piece of coverage. I don't have that piece of coverage. And you learn when you're directing, you have to be able to envision what the scene is going to look like cut together.
Exactly. You
have to know what it is you want it to look like visually when it's edited. So whether it's special effects that are going to be there, whether it's a trick with the camera that you want for an illusion, whether it's just the nuts and bolts of the blocking, what's it going to look like when it cuts together, and what angles you're going to be using, what coverage, what eye lines, all that stuff has to be. You have to know what that is while you're working, before you start shooting. So editing is absolutely critical, and I mean, as important as the script is in the front, the editing is in the back.
Yeah, if you don't have a good editor, you got nothing.
100%.
You just got a bunch of random garbage.
Yeah.
Because the editor, I always say, like, you give the editor a pile of stuff, 95% of it is junk, and they have to sift through and find the 5% that's good, and then stitch it together to make sense.
Totally. It's nothing but a pile of footage. It means nothing until that's cut together, and it's just bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And as far as the stuff in the middle, if you can directing is it helps to have somebody that is competent or knows what they want for the day, but ultimately if you've got a sharp first AD and a really good DP, a
director of photography, a
director who's not as sharp may be able to get through that without too much problem. If you've cast the right actors in the roles to begin with, it saves you a lot of grief if they know what they're doing, because they will put in suggestions, they will have ideas, they'll have thoughts, and they'll be able to give you the performance. So even if that middle section is weaker in terms of the personnel you have in charge, that front part, which is a script to work with, it's solid, and that back part, as far as the editing, and you've got your project. It'll work. You can put it together and make it work.
Yeah. Okay, a couple of questions came up. So number one, on Voyager, I did you guys have to stick to the script religiously, or could you, was there some fudge factor there?
No, there's no fudge factor. You had to stick to the script.
So word for word, you had to say exactly what your lines were.
Correct. Absolutely. If you want to make any changes, you have to call the production office from the soundstage. You have to call them and get approval for any line changes or any word changes.
Did it ever happen much?
Oh yeah, it happened. It happens from time to time. Sure. Most of the time, you'd get it done before you actually got on set, but they have rewrites constantly. So the rewrites might come in, and you'll ask, can I just switch this phrase, or can I say this instead of that? And most of the time they let you get off, away with doing that, make it official so they know. The reason for that is that Star Trek was written very, very specifically. It's not sitting around a coffee table in a tea shop or whatever, discussing, somebody's relationship. This thing is very specific, and you have characters on there that are wearing really heavy makeup, and they could look ridiculous if they were speaking colloquially rather than in a very sort of classic, sophisticated language. If you notice, a lot of the dialogue with alien characters tends to be very similar in style. It's sophisticated. It's a little bit more, I want to say, highbrow or classic in its style, rather
intellectual.
Intellectual rather than casual, and slang and pop culture phrases and things like that. We can't use that stuff on there.
Yeah, that wrecks it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So you said classical. So did you ever do any Shakespeare?
Oh yeah. I did Twelfth Night as You Like It, Romeo and Juliet. I've done Macbeth. I mean, I've done a bunch of pieces in the past. The last one I did was Romeo and Juliet. It was the last Shakespearean. Yeah, it was.
So,
it was pretty,
do you have any interest in doing that in the future? That kind of stuff?
Yeah, I prefer contemporary pieces over Shakespearean pieces, just because I like contemporary pieces, and I believe that this is the time during Shakespeare's time, he wrote for that time. Right. He wrote for those people, for their politics, for their culture, for that time. We write modern material for our time. And I think that to me, that's more of an interesting piece. More
relevant, yeah.
It's relevant, and if people can relate to it, and there's no thinking about it. And let's go. As much as people love the classics, and they're all, wonderful stories, he delves into the personalities and the characters and the ghosts and things in people's minds and the demons that haunt them and things like that. He examines that, and he also digs into the politics of the day.
Oh yeah,
which is cool. No question about that. It's very philosophical and et cetera, et cetera.
And it's got all those layers to it too.
It's got a lot of layers. Yeah. It certainly does. But quite frankly, man, I've worked on a lot of contemporary pieces and read a lot of contemporary pieces that are just as stunning and amazing, and just as deep and heavy, if not even heavier. Some of the modern stuff that we're watching and seeing. You watch some of the Korean pieces that are made, Korean films and series. Some of them are just, man, nobody goes knee deep into personal, the human condition and the way people think and react in some of their stuff. So, very heavy, very deep and very heavy. Tapping on and opening up and exploring the human condition, what drives human beings, what makes them do and say what they do.
Okay, speaking of deep, I did notice that you were on The Orville as a guest star.
Yes.
And I'm kicking myself for not remembering that, because I love that show and I've watched every single episode.
I played a historian, the time capsule episode.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go find it and watch it again. So there's a show that started off, everybody thought it was just gonna be like, Family Guy in space or like Galaxy Quest TV show.
Yeah.
And then it morphed into really good Star Trek type of sci-fi, especially season 3. Have you watched season 3 yet?
I have not.
You got to watch it. It's super good.
Yeah.
It's really good. Like half the episodes made me cry. I was crying through half of the episodes. In fact, there's one episode all I have to do is think about it and I'll start crying.
Wow.
It was that good.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Seth, he hit it. I mean, he went full tilt on episode 3. They also did the most amazing special effects. They went all out.
Good.
and he just went completely to town on every episode.
It helps to have that third season, man. Bigger budgets and more to work. It's very nice.
So now we're all clamoring for season 4. Every day I'm on Twitter going hashtag the Orville season 4, renew the Orville. We are Orvillians. So
yeah, they're waiting for that. I just worked with him on his series Ted.
Oh yeah.
Just recently.
You were an actor in it?
Yes, I was.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Do you happen to know Jay Lee?
Yeah, is it Jan? Is it Jane or Jane? No.
He calls himself Jay Lee. I think his real name is Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
He's a really accomplished pianist. He also plays in the Orville. He plays John Lamar.
Yeah, I don't think I had a scene with him, though. I think my scene was with a couple of the guest stars.
Okay.
I had a scene with just the people who were guest starring on it. There's one lead character who has a recurring role or something on this episode, and I played a doctor in the hospital, an emergency room doctor.
Yeah.
They just brought me in. I mean, Seth, I've worked with him before, so he likes me. And
Well, plus, I mean, they really like to bring in Star Trek alumni.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
I mean, so by now, I mean, there was, right now, even most people are saying, you know what, the Orville's better Star Trek than Star Trek. So it's really caught on with the Trekkies. Now that season 3 came around, everybody's like singing its praises. They're like, everybody like me, it's like, you have to watch season 3. It's super good.
Yeah. I enjoyed, I think any kind of, when he started out, was a little bit more satirical and sort of having some fun with the Trek series and things like that. I love satire. A really good satire I really like, especially if it's subtle. If it's subtle. Really? Oh, yes. I love satire.
Then may I recommend Egotastic Trek, which is my fan series, my Star Trek / the Orville fan series that's like really surreal, really kind of satirical, yet it's a dramedy. It actually has drama in it.
Oh.
So I'll send you a link.
Is that a radio piece? Is it a podcast?
No, it's a show. I do it completely on green screens. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Basically what I do is I take clips from mostly the original Star Trek, the original series, and then from other shows, and I stitch it all together. Since we were talking about editing, I stitch it all together and put different actors in it using green screens and tell a completely new story.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, and because of fair use copyright laws now, I can get away with it and put it up on YouTube without getting it taken down. Like I could never sell it. Like I would never be able to put it in theaters because of all those issues. But on YouTube, it's fine.
Yeah, you can't sell it. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But it's so fun because at first I was originally going to do it as just like little 3 to 5 minute episodes.
Yeah.
But the first episode was 17 minutes. And then the second episode was like 30 minutes. The third episode I had to split in half. The first half is like 40 minutes, and the second half is going to be another 45 minutes.
Jeez.
And it just goes on because it's got Star Trek and the Orville. But then once I figured out how to do that, then I would throw in other shows. Like the one I'm working on right now has a huge chunk of The Matrix in it. Mm-hmm. So like basically, the Captain Hardinger, goes down to the Matrix through the giant donut of eternity, along with the captain of the Egotastica. That's why we call it Egotastic Trek, because he flies in the Egotastica. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. So I'll send you a link. You can check it out sometime. But so back to Voyager. The other thing I heard about it was, did they use film, or was that the one that was straight to videotape? That
was filmed.
Oh, it was filmed.
Yeah, they tried to use the Genesis digital camera when it first came out.
Okay.
They tried that, but they didn't like it.
Well, thank goodness it's filmed, because now they can remaster it and it'll be really good.
That's correct.
That's cool.
Yeah. They shot film.
Okay.
The very first camera that they got was a Genesis. I remember I was working that day, and man, that was a big camera with a whole lot of lens on it. And they tried it. They didn't like the way it looked, so they went right back to film. It was fine.
Well, even now, I mean,
digital. Today it would be digital.
Everything's digital now, but to tell you the truth, I don't like the look either. So what I do, at least on the stuff that I do, there's a lot of times when I will intentionally blur, like just to make it look more, to make it look warmer, and then I'll add a little bit. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of film effects and stuff.
Some grain,
yeah, and it's like I'm like, you know how people are crazy about 4K and all this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't want it to look like that. It looks, when you get that detail, it looks fake, especially if you're shooting on a set, and then you see all the flaws.
Yeah, Blu-ray's terrible. That's a terrible image.
Yeah,
perfectly. It's so clean that it doesn't have any depth. There's no depth to it. It just looks like you're watching, a videotape, soap opera or something.
Exactly. I remember I got a flat screen TV, like a 62-inch one that was all super high, whatever. And then I started watching The Expanse because I'm really into that show. And I was like, I hate this because it looks like a bunch of actors on a set.
Exactly what it looks like. It looks like you're standing there watching them on a set. It looks like video. It looks like older style video, like video from years ago.
Yeah.
When it first came out and they were using videotape, it looks like videotape.
But it was super sharp.
Super sharp. Not only super sharp, but there's no depth to it. It looks flat. It looks like it just doesn't look right. It's horrid. It's a horrid image. I just saw something recently that was on. I mean, I've seen Blu-ray, which is the ultimate version of that, but I saw another thing that was HD, 4K, whatever, and it was just terrible.
Happily, I started monkeying. My flat screen had all these different settings.
Yes.
And I found one setting that they called like cinematic or something like that.
Right.
That I liked, that I finally set it to. That was the only setting where I could even stand to watch it because that gave me the cinematic effect.
It took down the resolution. Yes.
And they changed the lighting so it was softer.
Yeah.
And also I doubt it, but maybe it added a little bit of motion blur. That's the other thing I hate is nowadays when they're talking about 60 frames a second.
Yeah.
When you see stuff move, it's like, and there's no motion blur in it. To me, it just looks bad.
Yeah, it looks bad. All of that stuff, again, I don't know what the obsession is with the people that design the stuff and put it out there. I don't know what the obsession is, why you can't just watch something that has a film quality to it. Why does anybody have to watch anything that sharp and crisp and
exactly
without any detail, without any texture? You're missing texture in those things.
Yeah, I mean,
want to do that.
The one advantage you have is you've got raw footage that's super high resolution, so then you can zoom in on it and it'll still look good when you're editing it. So that's helpful.
You can also punch in on the camera when you're shooting and just get the close up like you normally do.
Right. I mean, that's the way you're supposed to.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you shoot it wide, like now you can shoot it a little wider.
Yeah, sure. You can punch.
If you're not exactly sure what you're going to do with it,
Yeah.
And things like that.
But the definition on the televisions is also making a difference because if the definition is that high, and then you're shooting in that resolution on the camera, which is now going up to 8K.
Yeah.
And motion picture theaters only can handle 2K on their projecting.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the other funny thing is they say it was shot in 8K or 4K, but then when it's broadcast, it's only 2. But even so, it's still too sharp because, I don't want to see every zit on the actor's face.
Nope. You want to see that, and you don't want it not to have texture and depth. There's just none of it there. It looks like it looks cheap.
Also, the guys in the makeup department and those poor people, now you can see every scene whenever there's a prosthetic. How are they going to cover up that tiny little seam between the real skin and the fake?
You're not going to be able to because you're shooting 8K for God's sakes.
Or you have to use CGI to try to blend it, and then that gets real expensive.
Yes, in post. Pricey, yes.
Yeah, so stuff like that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so anyhow, as I warned you, these interviews go all over the place. Now I'm going to try to pull us back if I can get my laptop or my iPad to behave so I can look at your IMDb page again. Well, it won't do it, so we got to do off the cuff. So Just today, a friend of mine was telling me about the famous Tuvix episode in Voyager.
Yes.
I'm sure you've been asked about that a jillion times,
A
right?
million times, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we skip it and just say, hey guys, if you want to hear about that, go watch some other video interview.
Yeah, I mean, it's always the same thing. The debate,
Okay.
it's the same bit.
All right. New subject.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the blues.
All right. Okay.
So I heard your band live, right? Like right on your porch, right outside your house. And this was, I think, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah,
On
yeah.
a Facebook Live thing.
Yep.
And I thought it was really good.
Thank you very much.
So, and you did a lot of covers, of course, but you also did some original stuff too, right?
Yeah, it's some original stuff. Yeah, and usually obscure covers, B-side covers, tracks off of movies and stuff like that I've heard, and I'll go in and rearrange them and do them.
Okay.
That's typically what I'll do, and some mashups. I do a couple of things where I've got two different types of songs playing together.
So when you say arrange, do you actually do you go and write out all the charts and stuff?
No. I'll simply do a scratch track recording of it.
Okay.
And send that to the keyboard player and the drummer so they can hear the arrangement and they can play along with it if they want to as well. So
so they don't even have a chord chart or anything?
No. Bill, my keyboard player, will put together a chord chart. He'll do his own lead sheets. He does his own lead sheets based on what I send him, and then he'll go ahead and plunk it out, and then he'll just do the charts himself.
Cool.
And a lot of times they're just lead sheets, and if he practices the song and it follows it, it's not that difficult. We don't typically rehearse hardly at all. We live miles from each other, so I don't generally bring them all together for a rehearsal session. I simply send them the tracks ahead of time.
And
they have the groove, they have the tempo, they have the lyrics. Play that shit just like it's written, like I got the arrangement. Come on in here and let's do it live. It's not rocket science. If it's not too complicated. We will rehearse sometimes just before the gigs. I'll work with Bill. Jim knows what he's doing. He's a pro times 10. So
cool.
It's very simple. And the stuff that I don't do anything. I'm not pulling anything out of the hat that's tremendously complicated either. I don't need to do that. So the stuff that I find, I tailor it to being a little more straightforward, simple, basic. Nothing complicated. So that and it works out great that way.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really fun. Yeah, I mean, so what would you say your typical gig is? Is it an actual concert where everyone's listening, or do you do a lot of like background music and bars and stuff? Or
yeah, most of the time, the clubs that I play at, people are there listening to music. I mean, that's what they're there for, and so and that's what I prefer.
Okay.
We don't play, 3 hour a night, dance sets. We don't do that. We don't do the top 40. We don't do any of that stuff. It's just it's designed to do showcase work, which is come on, do a power set, 45 minutes to an hour, and go. And usually on a bill with another band, either before us or after us.
Okay.
And that's how it is in LA. That's basically what the club scene is.
Cool.
For live gigs, it's your show. So you put on a show rather than playing as at a party or something like that, or a wedding or something like that. So
right.
I don't do those gigs right now.
Yeah. Those are the type of gigs I used to do all the time. I did tons of weddings.
Oh, I used to do them. I did many, many weddings. I mean, they always paid great and you could always go home early. But that being said, and you could eat, right? Exactly. Yeah. But they were I got so sick of them that I couldn't.
Yeah. Same with me.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, there was a time in my life when I was a full-time musician. I was teaching and doing gigs. And then, of course, I started having kids and I realized, well, this isn't really making a lot of money. Then I finally realized, you know what? Because I got into the thing where like I would take any paid gig, no matter what it was. And then I finally realized, now I'm just doing it for the money and it's not hardly any money. I should just get a different job.
Yeah.
So eventually I became an IT guy.
Yeah.
And instantly was paid 3 times as much. And then I had health insurance. And
of course. Yeah. You even if you're like a sideman for a touring act, a big name touring act, you're going to make a certain amount of money, but that's all you're going to make.
Yeah.
Because you're just getting paid to play the gigs. And it's not going to go above a certain amount, no matter how long you play or how good you are. It's going to be basically the same. So
Yeah.
if you have to dig that lifestyle, you have
Well,
to, living on a bus, going from town to town, living in hotels, setting up, rehearsing, playing the gig, doing the same thing every night, and then going home. You have to dig that, and if you're not doing that job and you're, a top 40 band going on a hotel circuit, or, or playing a circuit in Vegas, or doing shows in the lower part of the casino, just doing those kinds of things, you're only going to make X amount of dollars, and it's not going to go above that. You can't make more than that. So the only way you can do that is if you're an ace studio player and very much in demand, then you can make a lot more money because you can charge more for your services. But if you're just playing live gigs in a band, even if it's your band, it's just a lot of work is what it is. If you're trying to make a living out of it.
Right. If you're just doing it for the money.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah. Well, of course, you've been in Vegas. Oh, I forgot to mention. So the way that me and Tim met was at Star Trek Las Vegas, right here, captain's chair, of course. And it was about midnight. Yeah. I was hanging out at the bar, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a salad or something. So I went to the salad bar, and there's a tiny line, and I'm sitting there waiting for my salad, and then I turn to my right, and I'm looking, and I'm like, that's Tim Russ standing right next to me. So I already knew a bit about you, right?
Yeah.
So you probably don't remember, but that's the first thing I said was, I don't suppose you know anything about astronomy. And then you go, well, as a matter of fact, I do. And then the next thing I said was, well, I think that whole business about dark matter is bullshit. I mean, it's a lot easier to just slightly tweak the equations for the force of gravity to solve all the problems, rather than make up this fake make-believe matter that nobody can detect or see.
Yeah.
So then we got in a little mini argument. By then I knew I had you hooked, because I kind of got it down.
It's strong.
And then I said, well, I'm a YouTuber, and would you like to be on my show? And then we exchanged umpteen bajillion emails, and now finally we're here.
Yeah.
But so Vegas, right? Vegas is cool because, like, you walk down this, not even if you're not at the Star Trek convention, you just walk down the strip.
Yeah.
And there's this one totally great saxophone player I ran into, just walking down there. I was listening to him. Everybody started taking it for granted, but I walked by and I was listening, and I was like, wait a sec, this guy is really good.
Yeah.
You've probably seen him too.
I may have seen him.
He was that big guy. He was pretty tall. He probably weighed like 250 or 300 pounds.
Right. That's right.
And he was just playing along with prefab track, which what most musicians do. But it was really beautiful, really creative type of improv. And I was like, whoa, wait a sec. This sounds really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I sat there and I was listening, reacting. And I finally started talking to him and, talking shop with him. And he immediately, of course, once you have an audience member who's really listening and really getting what you're doing, like, that's all it takes, right? Then you connect with that person, and like you got a little dance happening, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what was going on. But I mean, like, Vegas is like all kinds of stuff's going on down there like that.
It is. Yes, it is.
So, and all these weird coincidences, like, I mean, yeah. Anyway, so I wasn't even that blown away. I mean, by the time that I ran into you, about 10 other things of similar nature had happened to me. So I was like used to it at this point. Okay. I'm like, well, this is why I'm here. I'm trying to get interviews with all the Star Trek actors I can. And well, there he is, right next to me. So anyway, so that's kind of a funny story. So, so I really did. My big thing was, when I have you on the show, I really did want to kind of talk shop about the music stuff. So most of your original stuff is pretty blues related, right?
Not necessarily. I have
okay.
I have a couple of songs that I wrote for specifically for film projects.
Oh, cool.
I was working on, and that has nothing to do with blues by any means. I have a satirical piece that I wrote, which is called We, and I have a music video for that online on YouTube. And that is a satirical piece, which is a techno pop. I want to say 80s style techno pop. So it's kind of retro.
Cool.
We interrupt this program to give you an important service announcement.
You are greater than machine.
We know your address, we know your phone, and we can watch you outside your home. We want your license, your entry code. We want your social, we want your soul. We have no windows, we have no doors. There are no people on any floors. Don't try to call us, don't try to write. Our operation is watertight.
Please hold for the next customer care representative.
Your information we buy and sell, and where it's going we'll never tell. You're still a person, you might insist. Without a number, you don't exist.
Pop, so it's kind of retro.
Cool.
I do have one blues track, which is called "Leave Me Home," which is it's a standard, so a lot of people have covered it.
Okay.
And
Oh Lord, live inside me, lead me on my way. Oh Lord, live inside me, lead me on my way. Lead me home, lead me home. Oh Lord, in the darkness, lead me on my way. Oh Lord, in the darkness, lead me on my way. Lead me home. Lead me home. Lead me home. Lead me home. Oh Lord, heaven's wait, open up your door. Oh Lord, heaven's wait, open up your door. Lead me home. Lead me home. Lead me home.
just done on a lark because the DP and the editor wanted to test one of their cameras. They had a camera that they wanted to test out, and so they said, "Well, do you have a song that we can shoot as a music video?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, try this one." They wanted a ballad. And so that one, and we shot it, and they cut it together and they gave it to me, and it didn't cost me a dime. So,
well, covers are cool. I mean, like my favorite song on Van Halen 2 is a cover, which is "Dance the Night Away."
Yeah.
So, and that they did such a cool version of that song. It was so amazing.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of everybody at some point in time has sung everybody else's stuff. I mean, that is not a surprise. At all. And some of the biggest names in the business have done the same thing because they like the track. Yeah. They love the track and it's good. And I would rather sing, 20 songs of somebody else's than one of mine that I don't particularly think is that great a song. I mean, I don't have to sing my material. I'm not that prolific a songwriter. I don't write that many songs or tunes at any given time. Okay. Most of the stuff I've done has been on demand. I did a children's CD that has about 8 or 9 songs on it, written for kids. I just sat down and wrote all those, within a month or so, and recorded them. And that was the stuff that was on demand.
What's your process when you're writing a song? Are you just goofing around on the guitar, or is it based on a little fragment of a lyric, or all of the above?
It's usually based on a chorus hook. That's typically what it is. It'll be the chorus hook.
Does that include the words?
Yeah, that'll include the lyrics, whatever the point of the song is. Okay. So I need something that's going to be whatever that point of that song is about. Okay. I'll put that down with a chorus hook and then do the verse, build the verse around that, and possibly a bridge if it needs it. Sometimes it doesn't. I have a song called Cushion Gaza, which is just verse and chorus. There's no bridge. And that song, because I'm one of my inspirations musically is Peter Gabriel. I like that. I like his feel, and I wanted something with a heavy African sort of percussion groove to it, and so I built the song around the groove and the chorus, and then put the lyrics in there for the verse. So each of the songs, if you listen to them, they're all different. So the other one, Lifeline is more of a pop ballad sort of feel. Not anything super new. I would say that's probably more feels like early 2000s, somewhere in there in terms of the feel of the song. So I don't do anything that bizarre, edgy, something to give you a headache, something that you have to wrap your head around, something you can't figure out what the hell that's going on. I don't do that stuff. I just do, stuff that I feel like doing, that I like,
Right. So, yeah, that's great. I don't suppose you watch Rick Beato's YouTube channel, do you?
Nope.
You should check it out. I'll send you the link.
I don't watch much of YouTube at all. I mean, the only time I go on YouTube is when I watch bands and artists from the time that I was growing up. I'm watching from 70s, 80s. Yeah, I'm watching live performances of them performing. That's the stuff that I watch on YouTube typically.
I guarantee if you watch this guy's YouTube channel, you'll get hooked. Because he was a record producer. He's a really good guitarist, and he is a total whiz on music theory.
Yeah.
Like he can hear a song once, a really jazzy song that's got a lot of fancy chords, and then he can immediately play it right back. Yeah. And then he can analyze it all and tell you all the names of the chords and what they're doing. And then he'll talk about, he can just go totally in the weeds about any pop song. And then he turned around and he did a video all about Johann Sebastian Bach. Yeah. And I was like, he won't be able to pull this off. It was a great video. He totally knew what he was talking about. Yeah, and he hit all the things that were great about Bach.
Yeah, he's probably a savant, and he's done music theory. I mean, he studied music theory, and he's probably a savant.
Yeah, he is. Strangely enough,
you have to be a savant to play something back like that.
He strangely enough, he knows the industry. He was a music producer for many years. He also slams the record industry all the time, because he's been there. Yeah, and but it seems like even though he's got all this, totally got the chops, he doesn't seem to be able to create his own stuff, as far as I can tell.
Well,
So for some reason, he can't do that.
That's a different stream of DNA, man. You got to have the songwriting comes from the inside out. It's from here out. And if you don't have all of those songs in your head that need to get out, those are the singer-songwriters. Those are people who have, for whatever reason, they're born with it. They can't shut it off. They've got some turmoil that they grew up with, and their life is a mess, and this is how they express themselves, other than becoming a serial killer. Put these things out through music. The art is through music, and some of the best and most prolific and most talented people out there have had difficult childhoods, difficult upbringings, difficult, dark things that they have to wrestle with all the time. Comedians, artists, they're all the same. I seriously believe that. Everybody else has got to work, man. Everybody else can do work. You can be a songwriter all day long. You can write 100 songs a day. Most of them are going to suck. I don't care what anybody says. They're going to be crap, because I've heard plenty. Like I said, I don't write anything unless I really want to or really like it. Otherwise, I don't have that drive. My drive is performing. That's what I do. I like being on stage with an audience and playing with a band, jamming, doing whatever. I don't give a rat's ass what the song is. I want a gig. It's about a gig. It's not about, I hate studio work. I don't like working in the studio because it feels like you're in a container in a box.
It's a totally different deal than live.
Yeah, it's sterile. Yeah, sterile. It's not that much fun. It's technical.
But hold on now. Perfect. But we do have so playing live as opposed to the studio is pretty much very similar to stage acting as opposed to TV or movie acting, right?
Being on stage playing music, yes. Playing music, yes. Live, okay?
Yeah.
That's what's happening, not inside the studio. That's similar to playing in a play because you're on stage with a live audience. So that feedback is immediately there. And I do mean immediately there. So that to me is more important and more interesting and more fun than going in the studio and trying to crank out, 5, 6, 8 songs, for the record, for the studio.
Luckily these days, you don't have to kill yourself to play everything absolutely perfectly. Now it's way easier to edit stuff.
Oh yeah,
clean it all up,
Yeah.
So you have a little bit more latitude these days than it used to be.
You can cheat. You
cheat a lot. Everybody does.
A lot in the studio. You don't have to sing every chorus. You can just cut and paste the first chorus. You can, we don't.
That's how everybody does it now. Just get on your thing and mix and match.
That's it. When I record, I don't use. The last CD I did, I didn't use a click track. I only played live. My drummer's really good. His time is amazing.
Yeah.
I would rather have him play and I just follow him. Because then the song breathes. The song, it doesn't feel like you're in a box. And it's a lot looser and it has, a dynamic to it that's really cool. So it feels like more like a live feel. And I like to record stuff that I can actually reproduce on stage.
Right.
I don't want 24 tracks of crap that I can't reproduce on stage. If I'm going to play that song, I'd like to be able to play it with the band that I have. So.
Right. But you guys still multi-tracked it, right?
Yeah. The only thing we multi-track is going to be mostly the vocals. I'll multi-track the vocals for harmonies. I might do a couple of guitar tracks instead of just one. Keyboard's going to be a single track, bass single track, drum single track. So the only thing I'm going to overdub is the vocals. I'll do harmonies, and I might do a second guitar.
Right.
And, if I want to add a sax or harmony or harmonica or something like that. But that's it. We keep it fairly simple.
Okay, but you still build it up layer by layer, right? Like you start with the bass and drums.
Yeah. We do the live core, and then we'll come back and we'll clean up that. If there's any cleanups that needs to be done, we'll clean up that, and then I'll lay down the guitar tracks again. I might keep the first rhythm track, and then I'll lay down some other stuff. I might double that, or I might put lead parts or something in there, guitar, and then if I want any extra pieces like a harmonica or a horn, I'll put that in. I'll put the vocals in myself, and then I'll put in the harmonies for those vocals, or hire somebody to come in and do some harmonies with me. you know, to get that stuff fat, and then we will master it and put the effects on and get it all done. It stays pretty simple. The only song that I have the music video for is called "We," is more keyboard techno.
Link in the description.
What's that?
I'm going to say, click on the link in the description.
Yes.
For that.
Yeah. It's more techno, more keyboards. Right now we don't play that song live.
Okay.
And I haven't decided whether I want to or not. I'd have to do the rearranging on it. Vocals are real tricky, and it's mostly keyboard. It's mostly synth. There's not any guitar in it at all. It's mostly synth.
Do you remember when Jump came out?
Yeah.
I remember when I first heard that song, I'm like, this is Van Halen? All I hear is a synth keyboard. That's not Van Halen.
Yeah, that's Eddie. Eddie wanted to play. He wanted to introduce keyboards. And nobody else wanted that. That band hated shit. It
was decades later when I found out that before Eddie was an electric guitar player, he was a classical pianist. Did you know that?
There you go. Yeah, I watched one of the documentaries on that band, and did mention it. He had keyboard as a background, and again,
like he would play Chopin and Schubert and all that kind of stuff. So no wonder he did all that. But then somehow he decided he wanted to do electric guitar and really push the limits of it.
Yeah, and he's also not a savant, but he certainly has the DNA. Yeah. He's got something going on besides.
Also, he was responsible for all the vocals. He wrote all the harmonization for the vocals. And then the other thing about Van Halen that people don't appreciate is the backup vocals for that band sounded great.
They were great. Sure, they were great. They could all do the
good.
Not a problem. I mean, and most of the bands of that era were all singing. You know, they're all tenors, man. Everybody's singing up in the sky. That's basically how pop stuff works. Yeah, they're not that many singers.
Well, almost counter tenors, actually.
Exactly. Yeah. Most of the stuff, you don't find many baritone singers out there. There's only a few. Here, once in a while, you'll find a few, but the majority.
Mostly in country. You get the baritones get to do country, like all my exes are in Texas, type of thing.
And if you play country music backwards, you get your dog back, you get your house back, you get your girlfriend back. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So for sure, we'll put links to all your gigs if you have them. So that's that one music video. That's pretty much it, or
I have any other stuff? I have "Lead Me Home," which is one, and then I have the song "We," which is the other one. So they're two very, very different videos.
Did you ever post anything from that Facebook Live event?
No. We just did it. Every time we did them, we did it live. So.
Oh, how many did you do?
Did about we did that year 6, 7.
Oh wow!
We did about 8 of them over the course of a whole year. We did about 8 of them.
So how do people get notified of that? Do I just follow your
on Facebook? We've just posted on Facebook, when we did them. But I don't. Now we're just playing in clubs. We're back to playing in clubs.
Okay, so that's sort of a COVID thing.
It was a COVID thing, yeah.
Okay.
I might do it again. In the summer when it gets warm again, I might do it in the summer.
Okay.
I did it for the neighborhood, that people on the street and my neighbors and stuff would come by. That was why and also just to keep playing.
Right.
I mean, I can't imagine going an entire year without doing a gig. It would drive me absolutely mad. So
I have to ask you a question about that live. The one that I saw, the band sounded great. There was a second guitar player who seemed kind of at sea, like it didn't seem like he knew what he was doing. Or was he he's just a friend of the family. I just had him sit in. Okay, so he basically was sort of feeling out of place.
Yeah. He would just come in and play a couple of tracks and then take off. I mean, that's
okay.
He just wanted to sit in and he tried. He knows the songs. He's not overpowering the band. He's just in the background playing along, and he just enjoys that. He's not at the stage at which he would get on stage and lead a band or play the front guitar and whatever. He's a very good lead guitarist. He just doesn't.
Oh,
he just wants to play rhythm guitar and sit in on a couple of tracks. That's it.
Okay.
Mostly the blues stuff.
Okay.
We do. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Do you guys ever have saxophone?
I have used a sax player. I've got a couple of them that I've used before, and I also have a harmonica player that I've called before a couple of times. the sax guy that I've got, one of them is really, really good, but he's got some physical issues. Just physically, he's having a tough time right now. And the other guy that I played with lives in Long Beach. I haven't called him in a long time to come up and play, but when I get the urge, I'll have him come up and sit in with me. Andre Saxman is another guy that I played. He just left to go live in Vegas, so I can call him now. But he sat in with me one of the yard gigs. He sat in with me on sax.
Cool.
I'll do it once in a while, but not too often because I don't want people to get used to it.
It's just a special little added
You'll
bonus.
spoil you. Yeah, you get spoiled. So I don't want to wear that out too much.
Do you guys ever do like salsa or any kind of Latin stuff?
No, not really. As far as the grooves and stuff, we don't do Latin. We do second line stuff. New Orleans second line. We've got a couple of tracks that are like that.
Okay.
We do blues. We do some pop. We do classic rock kind of stuff, and that's basically where we live musically. Certainly nothing that people aren't going to be able to understand and dig.
Do you play? Okay. How about now we're into classic rock? Do you guys play any Boston?
No Boston. When I say classic rock, it just means stuff that there's a couple of tracks from that era that we do, and there's songs that are similar to that era. So we do like Robbie Robinson, Willie Dixon, a few other people. The stuff that we play, I do Bruce Hornsby. There's at least 2 songs by him that I do. And so it's in that feel.
Okay.
That's not prog rock.
Well, yeah.
So that's pretty eclectic then.
Well,
Stuff you're picking.
It's eclectic in terms of the variety of grooves and sounds we have are pretty wide, but it still fits within that box. For example, we're not going to be playing, Radiohead. We're not going there. We're not going into some kind of pop, jazz, fusion, this, that, and the other thing. We don't do any of that stuff. It's all, I want to say, easy. It goes down easy. It's roots music. It's feel good stuff. Some of it's a little rock-ish here and there. We might get some heavy overdrive stuff going now and then on a few songs.
Okay.
A couple of mashups. One features a song by Deep Purple.
Okay.
And I mash it up with something else. I do a version of Moon Dance, which is kind of heavy.
Okay.
So there's, I'll go outside that box once in a while, but still within the framework. Like, for example, everybody, when you hear the blue, Deep Purple, the riff. If you hear Moon Dance, the song. So the song is not, something brand new. I do some songs that are recent, but they're not very well known. They're just tracks that, they're B-side tracks, or they're tracks that are, might be in a store on the Muzak loop. And it's like, oh, that's pretty good. And I'll grab that song and I'll think, I like that track. I really love that tune. Let me do an arrangement of it and see how it fits with the band. And I'll play it a couple of times live, see if it works. And if it doesn't work, I'll just throw it away. But if it does work, I'll keep it. So, and it's a tricky thing. The half the battle to playing these live gigs and these types of live gigs when you're doing a show set is just what tracks are you singing, Matt? Because you can pick the wrong songs and just blow the whole thing out of the water. You've got to have the right tunes, the tunes that'll work with your band instrumentally, the tunes that work with your voice, the tunes that work with the room. And you dig. And there's just some stuff you just don't touch.
Okay, so when you're doing your gig, do you have a set list, or can you just call out some stuff?
I have a set list, but I will, depending upon what the room is feeling like, I'll change it. I read the room. Sometimes I get a wild bunch of folks in there. All they want to do is dance. Okay. Whatever. And so I will tailor the set to stuff that's a little bit more up tempo, or it's got a pretty heavy groove, so they can get up and dance. If they're getting wild and crazy, I'll do that and I'll go along with it. If they're laid back and everything's sedate and it's just listening, then I'll tailor the set to basically the way I have it written. And I'll pull songs out, or I'll skip them or drop them depending upon how much time I want to be up there. And also if I just feel like, well, this song is, got too much of a groove similar to the one before it, I'll just let it pass. So sometimes I just don't feel like playing some of the stuff that I put down on the list. I do let the keyboard player know ahead of time, because he's got everything in a set list. So and the drummer as well. But yeah, I'll change it. But I do come in nowadays. I do come in with a set list.
Okay. So it seems to me that then, so you've got your set list, and then I guess you're going to have some alternates that you can pull that you're not going to be pulling it totally out of the blue.
Yeah, I'll pull out alternates. Some of the songs I know, for example, if they want to dance, I know there's some songs I can figure out which ones I want to do, and I can pull them out and play them, or just call them, and I already know them, et cetera, et cetera. Some of the songs we have are brand spanking new, so we're just finding our feet on them and getting what I call is you like to let them simmer. You like to let them simmer by playing them live over and over and over again. Then you find the nuances for those songs, and they start to come into the pocket. You find the accents and the punches and the stops and starts, and then the songs are, feeling like they need to feel. That takes a while for that to happen. When I introduce a new song, it does take a while. It's always rough around the edges and not quite in the pocket, and it just takes playing it a few times, not necessarily rehearsing it, but playing it live. And then all of a sudden, everybody starts to, okay, this is working. And there's some that just don't work. I just toss it. It's like, you know what? We learned it. We're not going to play it anymore. It's just not happening. And there's songs that I get a reaction from the audience from. Mm-hmm. There's songs that are guaranteed to get a reaction. They may not be my favorites, but the audience likes them. So
I know that.
I'm going to play those songs, and those stay in the set list. Right. Those don't get tossed out. They stay. And that's generally how I build my sets up.
Yeah, well, I know when we used to play in the street, Trio con Brio, we used to play Saturdays down at Pike Place Market. And, of course, the song where the people would throw the most money and buy the most CDs was, of course, the Pachelbel Canon.
Okay. Yeah.
Because everybody loves it, and it's repetitive enough. And even though musicians get tired, especially the cello player hates it because the entire cello part is dum, pum, 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 which is, of course, catchy enough. But if you play that over and over 20 times, it gets a little dull.
Yeah, sure it does. Yeah, but that's such is the life of a musician, and whatever instrument is you're stuck on, right?
Yeah,
that's the way it goes, man.
So, but it would be the exact same thing. We would do exactly how you described. Was there would be certain songs that we didn't necessarily like that much, but they would be the ones that would always gather a crowd,
right?
So that would be the ones we do. And then the funny thing is we had the same deal where we also had things where we knew a song that could disperse the crowd. But sometimes what we would do, we'd get a huge crowd. They all throw their money. And then we're like, well, let's disperse them so some more people can come and throw money. So we'll play a song people don't like and everybody leaves. And then you start over so. Oops. Yeah, you just accidentally muted yourself.
There's a wonderful piece that I'll have to send you the link to it, and it's this huge orchestra in this wonderful giant. I don't know what this thing is. It looks like a cathedral, but it's a giant sort of arena stadium, a theater that they're playing in, and it is just insane. They're doing the theme to Pirates of the Caribbean live.
Okay.
And it's got the band in it, all the regular band instruments. It's got a full set of orchestra strings and everything else behind it, timpanis, all that's just fully loaded. Lights going on, man, a huge, giant crowd. And that track is unbelievable. I will send it to you. If I remember to do so when we get off here, you have to listen to it. It's a YouTube piece. Okay. And when I find these pieces, I just keep them. I save them on my computer and I always revisit them. But take that song and you can shift it maybe back. I'll try to figure out where the point is that where it takes off into the main Pirates theme, which is in the back part of that song. And this is when they get to the finale. Okay. And then wrap the song up and it comes to, God, is that amazing. Yeah. Amazing to watch. And of course it's cut together and edited perfectly, and the players are all, it's this combination of the classic orchestra and these really hip-looking pop artists on the instruments, man, with the hair and the this and the get up and the this, and they're just jamming the hell out of this song. It's so incredibly cool, man. Just that part when the song takes off.
That's cool.
Bang, like a rocket ship, man. It's like the shuttle just launched. It's just awesome, absolutely awesome. You get chilled just watching it. Yeah. I'll find I'll bring it up to myself. I'll find the point that you just want to. You could listen to the whole thing, but I just rock it right to that point. And just
How long is it?
it's a pretty long piece. I think it's the whole piece is maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, something like that.
I'll listen to the whole thing. Like, I like long stuff. I mean, that brings up a question. Like, is there any classical music that you like? Do you have any background in that, or?
There's a few classical pieces that I like, and I offhand I can't remember the names of the actual songs, but there's a couple of pieces that everybody recognizes that I do like. Here and there, I don't listen to that much classical music routinely. I don't buy it. I don't listen to it in the car, etc. Sometimes I want to get in the car, put the headphones on. Man, I just want to crank it. I just want to hear.
Right.
I want to hear some grooves in my ear. I want to hear some harmonies. I will tend to gravitate towards melodic music. I like melodic music. I like harmonies. I like counter harmonies. I like the changes that go on with the major sevenths and sus and things like that. They're so beautiful, so pretty, emotional. One of my favorite composers for film is who did what's the movie? What the hell is the film? It was M. Night Shyamalan. It was Lady in the Water.
I know which one you're talking about. That had Doug Jones played the monster, right?
No, there's no monster in Lady in the Water.
Okay, we're a different one then.
Lady in the Water is M. Night Shyamalan, and it's I want to say Van. It's not Van. It's and he's done a bunch of stuff. I like his music a lot.
Okay, so it sounds like film music is kind of your classical music.
I dig that. Yeah, I dig the soundtracks and scores for some of the things that are out there. Just amazing. I love the tracks with that stuff, and it's particularly melodic. I like the powerful, the melodic music that's out there. And
there's so much good music.
Wonderful stuff, and I've stumbled on things here and there looking for other stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, what's this?
Right.
Check it out. So it just, there's definitely a taste for me that I like. Like jazz. Jazz does nothing for me as far as.
Oh, really?
Don't feel anything emotional from that. No,
even like the jazz standards. I mean, like how about Autumn Leaves or any of those ones?
Nope.
Wow, interesting.
Nope. I am a pop. I grew up listening to pop, man. Well, I grew up listening to rock. I grew up listening to hard rock. I grew up listening to Motown, R&B. I grew up listening to all that stuff. So to me, that's the stuff that I really enjoy. Like say Peter Gabriel, again, is one of my favorite artists.
But the thing is all that stuff has roots back in jazz and blues.
Oh, it may have roots, as it has been with all that stuff. The roots may be back there with blues in particular, more so I think than jazz, mostly blues. Because all the great super groups, that's what turned them on. But to me, it's the more melodic pop. The Beatles got into 4-part harmonies and things like that. And the changes and stuff, and even their changes. If I look back at their stuff, as much as I really admire them, a lot of their stuff, not all of it, has the changes, the types of changes that I really dig.
Let's talk about a Beatles song. Sorry. What about Yesterday? If you go and play that song, there's some really interesting chords in that.
It's a very tricky and complicated arrangement too. It's not a simple arrangement, but it doesn't have the harmony changes that I like. It's a beautiful song, absolutely does. But if you want to know, on the Union album, one of the songs from there I like a lot. What is it? Jesus Christ. All I'm doing is blanking on stuff right now.
That's okay. Well, the one Yes song that I know that everybody knows is Roundabout.
Yes, Roundabout's not the one I'm thinking about. It's got a great hook in the chorus. The one Lift Me Up is called the song. Lift Me Up. Okay. Those changes, Trevor Rabin stuff, I like the way he's arranged his stuff. I like the changes. Those kinds of changes are great. I dig those. There's a track by Baby Metal called Karate, which is fucking amazing video. But the chorus and the hook chorus on that song, that kind of feel, those kind of changes. There's about 1,000 other ones that have something similar. But Lift Me Up on Union, Union. Lift Me Up. We've got the changes on that chorus. Those are the changes. And again, it's It's not there's a number sequence for it. I'd have to ask my keyboard player exactly what it is, but the types of chords would be, I like a lot of sus4s when I play. I like a lot of major sevenths. I like a lot of major chords. I like bass.
Those are all jazz chords. It's funny that you say you don't like jazz, and then you love all these jazzy chords.
But jazz does not have the melodies and counter melodies in jazz that I like. Jazz is much more improv, and it's much more. You're going to be playing jazz a lot more augmented. You're going to be.
But hold on, what about like George Gershwin? I mean, George Gershwin has all beautiful melodies, and people consider that to be jazz.
Melodies, but you have to listen to the pop songs that I'm talking about, and the pop groups I'm talking about. The chorus to "A Little Help from My Friends," man. It's just 3 chords. It's that 3 chords. Boston played a lot of that stuff as well.
With a little help from my friends.
It's that combination of chords. The song from the movie, the TV movie, what is it? Jingle Jangle. I have to bring it up. Bloody hell! Let me bring up the goddamn thing. Okay. I'm trying to remember it.
It's okay to cheat.
Oh, a second.
I was doing that till I couldn't figure out how to get.
Looking on the list,
to work.
Yeah, just have to get the bloody thing and figure out where it is. It's you. Let it go. Light me up. Light him up. A little bit of smile. Hold on a second. I'll get the damn thing. Solution. Spirit. Hold on.
Meanwhile, for our station,
the song's called "This Day."
This day. Okay.
This day. We need.
Eso dia.
Yeah, "This Day" is called, and it's on the soundtrack for the TV movie Jingle Jangle. It's a Christmas movie. And when they take off on the chorus, which is the back half of the song, it's the back half of the song. When they get rolling on that, we're all over the place, man. That's what I'm talking about. And add to that, The Greatest Showman. Look at the track for The Greatest Showman. Look at that soundtrack. And 3 or 4 of the songs in there, because they're all written by the same guy. And they do have a similar feel.
Okay.
Those types of changes are the types of changes I'm talking about. Look at the ballad that's in that show. Look at the main songs in there, and those changes are the kinds of changes that appeal to me. That's what strikes me.
You like changes. Okay, I got a Rick Beato video you have to watch.
When I say changes, I mean the chord progressions.
Right.
It's the chord progressions. Those chord progressions in those orders, those types of changes are, to me, much more emotional. They evoke more emotions. And I'll send you, this is it. I'll send you the song I was just talking about from Jingle Jangle. Okay. Send you the edited version of the song where it takes off into that. Okay. And I'll let you hear it. And if I can find the other song from, yes, I do have the other one from Greatest Showman. I'll send it to you, and you'll get an idea listening to those songs, the kind of stuff that really, really appeals to me. That's what speaks to me.
Okay. You know what we forgot to do? Yeah. We dove way into the weeds on music stuff, but we never even got to hear the story of how you ever became a musician.
Became? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like did the guitar just like wink its eye at you, and then
guitar
the magnetic force?
Guitar was happening. It was very sexy. It was the drive. When I was growing up, that was everything. It was guitars, man, bands. It was it wasn't even keyboards. It was guitar.
So you were like 7 years old when you saw this guitar, or 14, or?
I was 15, 16 when I started playing guitar. Okay. I started playing, and I immediately I took lessons for a while. Then I started playing in bands. But that's when you learn, how to learn songs, how to find tracks, how to follow stuff. You learn the tricks, and then enjoy the process of playing ensemble. And then I started playing in a band. That's how I did it.
And then when did you start singing?
Singing background when I was 16, 17, 18. And then I started singing solo folk guitar, singer-songwriter folk guitar stuff in the 1970s, late 70s, early 80s. Folk guitar stuff, and that's when I started singing solo. And then at the very end, joined another band after that, did Top 40. Okay. Then another band with the Crescendo Records. I was playing with them. Again, more pop stuff, some covers, and then the band that I have now. So I started singing solo in the 1970s. folk rock stuff. Singer-songwriter James Taylor,
Okay.
Stevens, all those guys. Gordon Lightfoot, the rest of them. So.
Okay, I would be remiss to have you on my show talking music, because I live in the Seattle area,
Yeah.
to not ask a question about Jimi Hendrix, since his grave is actually in.
Hendrix is amazing.
Yeah.
He was absolutely amazing. He was
So I have a theory of how to explain what he does and why nobody can imitate him. In my opinion, what he's doing is he's just totally stream of consciousness.
Yes.
And he's not thinking guitar technique, he's thinking sound.
Yeah.
And he's following the sounds.
Absolutely.
Totally in the moment and just going everywhere with it.
I would agree with you 100%. He knows,
Okay.
he knows where everything is on that guitar without thinking about it. He doesn't think about it because he knows wherever his hands are, that's where they're supposed to be. And so the rest of us might be looking down, trying to figure out where we are on the neck. He doesn't have to. He knows where he's going. He knows where his hands are going, and he never misses anything.
And I think what it is probably is that he's listening. He's totally listening.
Yeah.
And if he hears the slightest little weird thing that the amp does, he follows that.
Sure.
And does something with it,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
But you still have to know how to hit the string and hit the key, hit the note at the same time. You still have to be able to play that in time, as well. So he did practice that's all he did when he was younger, was play guitar. He had to be able to get good enough. The thing about it is he didn't have to do it as long as everybody else did. And then he surpassed that point. Then it became, as you're talking about, ethereal. It became otherworldly. I mean, it's supernatural. That ability is supernatural. There's a 10,000 hours of practice theory, and then there's those guys who can fall out of bed and do it.
Well, so do you think you as Tim Russ could get yourself into the zone and do, 10 or 20 seconds of Hendrix type of stuff?
It would be very difficult to do that because, first of all, you've got to have what he uses as a setup, because he has a specific setup. He has a specific sound.
Yeah, and the strings are upside down for one thing.
Yeah, Chris Squire had a bass sound. Trevor Rabin's got a sound. Right. Terry Kath had a sound. He has a certain sound that he uses. His overdrive, I have no idea what combination of stuff he was using, but you can't get those sounds like he did at Woodstock with just, you can't do that without having a certain type of setup. What's his name from U2? He's got a certain type of, he's got racks and racks of shit. You have to have that in order to get that sound.
Right.
Never mind playing it. You got to have that sound. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to visualize what you're trying. I mean, not visualize, but you have to have a concept in your brain of what you're going for. And then you're trying to create it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's you. I mean, that's a setup. It's your setup. That's your sound. Jack White from White Stripes gets some crazy stuff, man, on his guitars. The guy buys plastic guitars, the cheapest, crappiest guitars he can find, because that's the sound he wants. And then he does some crap, I don't know what he runs it through on that amplifier. It gets the most shrieking, crazy ass noise out of it. And nobody else does that but him, because that's his sound. That's his voice. That's his thing. And everybody has their thing.
Speaking of their thing, Queen.
Yeah.
So Queen has a certain sound.
Yep.
And they have a certain guitar sound. They have a certain sound. But the weird thing is, it's almost like they purposely, once they created their sound, almost sounds almost lo-fi to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Say that. Yeah. Brian May built his own guitars. He's a physicist. He has a degree in physics.
Oh.
He has a PhD in physics.
Well, there you go. So you're an astronomer.
Yeah, he built his own guitar. That guitar is his. He built it. So he knows exactly how he wants to do it, where it's going. He knows the inside and outside of that entire system. I just go buy it at the store, and if I like the way it sounds, I buy it. I'm not building it.
Well, Eddie Van Halen did the same thing.
Eddie did the same thing. He built his own guitars and modified them. Again, there's the level that you're at. That's that level, and I play live music on stage.
Well, why can't you be there? Is it just you don't want to push yourself to that, or you?
What I do is I'm a performer. I like performing. I just
Okay.
want to play and sing, man. I'm not, over here doing the shredding. I don't need to do the shredding.
Okay.
Somebody else can do the shredding. I can hold my own with some lead guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I don't shred. I don't spend hours learning how to shred. I don't need to. Our band and my show is vocals driven. So it's important for me to be able to cop 5, 6 different styles of vocals, which I can do, and I do, but not a lot of people can do that. But that's
Now, is that all by instinct, or did you actually take voice lessons at some point?
I took vocal lessons when I was in college, but I've been playing 5 different versions of music since I started. I started with hard rock. I went to R&B from the 60s. I went to folk rock. I went to top 40. And then, from there, you've gotten some progressive stuff in there. So I've got the range like that of all those different styles that I've had to sing. And that's where they come from.
So what would you call, what's like your favorite folk rock thing that you would do?
If it was folk rock, I would say I love Hornsby's stuff, all the time. I just dig his stuff. And I love Gabriel. I could do some of his stuff. I could copy it. I can do, and some of the blues stuff, obviously. I like singing the blues stuff as well.
How about Hotel California? Do you guys ever do that?
We have not done that. No, I haven't done any Eagles stuff. Wait a minute. I used to do one. What's the one? When I'm down the road, loosen my load. I got to have something on my mind. Whatever that song was. Take It Easy. I used to do that.
Oh,
song.
Take It Easy.
I used to do that song in a gig when I was in a band in Sacramento. I used to play that song because that was the kind of stuff that I dug. But that's.
How about John Denver? Country roads, take me home.
Nope, I don't have that voice. I don't have his voice to sing that song. I could do it. I could cover it.
Mm-hmm.
I could cover that song, but he's got a really high pitched voice. And
Well, just put it in a different key then.
Yeah, I could do it in a different key. I could sing it, sure. It's not something I would gravitate to.
So it doesn't speak to you.
Does not speak to me. It's a good song. I like his song Calypso a lot better than that one. I like Calypso. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful song.
Okay.
And it's very heavily orchestrated, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a full-on orchestra playing that. So, and that's the kind of stuff, yeah, I could do that. I could dig that track by him. But,
okay. Then how about Beatles' Revolution?
Revolution's great. Good tune. That's a good tune. Nothing wrong
so
with
that's,
that.
That's a Tim Russ band type of set list song?
No, I wouldn't play that from the Beatles. I'll tell you what we do is we do come together.
Of course.
And I do an arrangement of Eleanor Rigby. That's a different.
Ooh, okay, dude. You need some Matt Weiss strings for Eleanor Rigby. So I can play violin, viola, and cello. I could literally do the entire quartet.
Yeah, except for you haven't heard our version of it. So we do an arrangement of it that you've never heard before.
Oh, there's no strings in it?
No strings, and it's a much faster pace than the song actually was at. It's a very fast pace. It's a very quick song.
I can play pretty fast.
It's very driving and fast. So it's an arrangement that's very cool. It's so hip that
Eleanor Rigby.
Nobody knows what I'm singing.
Can you sing it? Could you just sing it off the cuff?
Yeah, I can sing it off the cuff, but you can't tell what the groove is unless you hear the groove. And I never recorded. Wait a minute. I never recorded that song. I never recorded it for any of my CDs. I only play it live, and it's super fast. We play it super fast, and it's a super tight groove. It's a pocket. It's a really fast, sophisticated staccato pocket that thing is in. Mm-hmm. And you won't know what the song is until I start singing it. Then you realize, it's
Eleanor Rigby. Oh my God!
The chorus is totally different. The B verse is totally different. Everything is different. You would not recognize it until you heard me and knew that I was singing that song.
So you were telling me you like melody. So how about Michel, ma belle, sont des mots qui vont très bien ensemble.
Nice track.
Michel.
Nice track. It wouldn't be the first song. It wouldn't be a song that I would purchase for myself. I'll send you the pictures. I'll show you the stuff that I like. I'll show you the kind of stuff that I like. And my sets typically, have those. A lot of them have those kinds of changes in them, and some of them I do like because the lyrics are so powerful. Because again, I'm a vocal-driven band.
Okay.
It's a vocal-driven band. I've got buddies of mine who play in bands, and it's about 4.5-minute guitar solos on every song, and that bores me to tears. It's all about to me, what is that song saying?
Okay.
What's the message of the track? And the message of a track is not a guitar solo. The message of the song is the way the song is written. What are the lyrics? What's the point of the song? What's the drive of the song? So to me, the songs that I play all have a point. They all have something that they're trying to say. And
Okay, how about this one?
The more metaphor you can wrap into those lyrics, for me, the better.
Dust in the wind. All we are is dust in the wind.
That's a very good track. Yeah, it's a good song. It's not my favorite ballad by far, but it's a good song. It's a good song. Dust in the Wind, by them, that's Foreigner, isn't it?
It's Kansas, I believe.
Kansas. You know what I like better is the other one. How Long is my favorite song by Kansas.
Okay, what about Carry On My Wayward Son?
It's okay, but I like the other one better. I like what did I just say it was?
How Long?
How Long is my favorite song by Kansas. By far.
Wow. Okay.
And again, you'll hear the changes in there that I like. You'll hear what I'm talking about. It's in there.
Okay, so we're doing the 20 questions. How about what's your favorite Led Zeppelin song?
Zeppelin, there's a couple. Zeppelin doesn't really. Gallows Pole is one of my favorites by them. I love Gallows Pole. Gallows Pole.
Okay.
Do you know Gallows Pole?
I don't think I do.
Oh my God, you got to listen to Gallows Pole, man. Are you kidding me?
My favorite song is the Rain song. It's like on the second side of Led Zeppelin 4.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
I'm sure I've heard it. I like Celebration. I like Celebration Day. I like. There's a couple on Physical Graffiti I like.
Of course, there's Kashmir.
Kashmir is
Yeah. You know what? I found out the trick for Kashmir. You probably know it already. Is you have to do alternate tunings on your guitar.
Yes, you do.
If you alternate tune it, then it's easy to play.
Yeah.
Then you get all the
and
strings.
I'm not detuning my guitar for nothing, because half time when you do that, all it does is stretch the bloody strings out so you can't get them back to where they were. So
that's why you have a guitar tech. He just hands you the alternate tuned guitar for that one song.
Yeah. Wouldn't I love to have that? So,
yeah, that's when you know you've succeeded, is when you got a guitar tech.
Yes, that's when you're making a certain level of money. Absolutely. Somebody that can tune your guitar and hand it to you. Unlike what was that live performance by, was it Poison? No, it was actually Eddie Van Halen. Oh. Eddie Van Halen played one of the songs he played, and it might have been Jump. He played it in the wrong key on stage. He played the solo in the wrong key. It was the wrong key.
Compared to what everybody else was doing in the song?
Compared to the song. Somehow the guitar had been tuned or detuned, or something happened, and he played the song in the wrong key. And it's actually, I know it's on YouTube or it's on Google. There's a place.
Interesting.
Then you can, it's a live performance. Somebody caught it from, the recording is not from like an edited version of the song. It's from somebody's, cell phone or whatever the hell they were shooting. So it's from.
I wonder why I didn't just stop.
They're in the middle of the song, man. You can't stop. They just keep going. You got a show must go on. So he played the solo in the wrong key. And that's a very popular song. And it's on YouTube.
Oops.
I saw it. I actually watched it.
He should have just flipped out his capo from his back pocket and go whoosh.
I don't know if the capo would have helped. Yeah. You'd have to know. You'd have to be on top of all that, man, to know what's going on with all that. Yeah, he played it in the wrong key. And
that's good.
So bizarre.
Wow.
I can't remember what the reason was, but there was a reason for it. It was part of, somebody was narrating a documentary. He's talking about it, and I looked it up and I said, "Son of a bitch!" Actually, he's right. It was
Eddie Van Halen messed up. Ooh.
Yeah, if he can mess up, anybody can mess up. Yeah. So the songs I do are mostly vocal driven, and even the pieces that are my music videos and my own songs, there's very little guitar work in them.
Did you ever get into 90s grunge a la Seattle?
So a little bit, yeah. I mean, Nirvana had a couple of cool tracks here and there. I like some of their stuff, sure.
How about Soundgarden?
Soundgarden, I know I've heard a couple songs by them when they were recording and had their stuff on the air. So I think
they have Spoon Man. One of the things that's so cool about the grunge era stuff is even though it's really hard rock overdriven guitars and stuff, they used a lot of really jazzy chords. And then they also did stuff in really unusual time signatures for pop.
Agreed.
Yeah, so that once you discover that, you're like, whoa, this is very interesting.
Yeah, and some of the stuff is fairly basic and simple, but it's not all that, I would say, as far as the kind of melodic stuff that I like. A lot of it isn't like that. It's more like what you're talking about.
Right.
In terms of the regressions and things like that. It's not pop. It doesn't have that pop feel to it at all. So.
Speaking of Soundgarden, you know the song Spoon Man. I actually know who Spoon Man was because he used to play in the street. He was one of the street musicians that we would hang with. It was this guy named Artist the Spoon Man, and he literally had a bunch of spoons, and he had a mohawk, and then he had some really hard-hitting, politically charged poetry that he would recite while doing the spoons.
Yeah.
And he was this type of guy that was really in your face. So he would start fights and people would get really pissed at him after he would do his street routine. That was Artist the Spoon Man. And that's the guy that they made the song about. But get this. I actually played in an orchestra where we invited him to come and do his spoons routine on stage while we were playing Rossini's like The Barber of Seville. Or I think it was actually the William Tell, you know, but we did the entire overture and he did the spoon thing to it. It was really fun.
God. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some pretty fun stuff that happens up in Seattle. So,
Well, imagine, man.
yeah. It's not all LA, man.
No, absolutely. It is absolutely not. A lot of stuff from the Rust Belt as well. A lot of stuff out of the Boss is out of there. What is it? What is the band? They were huge, and they still are, I think. You know what I'm talking about? The singer and his band, all out of the Rust Belt, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, all those places. God, my memory today is just spaghetti when it comes to band names and songs. It's ridiculous. But he and his band, Eddie, what is it? What's his band? It's right on the East Coast, and they were huge. Living on a Prayer. What the hell is it? Who am I thinking about? Living on a Prayer. Who is it, Angela? Living on a Prayer. You know the song, Living on a Prayer. You gotta know the song.
I know it. So this is
Living on a Prayer. What is it? Bon Jovi, for God's sake.
Oh, Bon Jovi, of course.
Bon Jovi.
Yeah. Well, okay, so now we're talking that stuff.
That song has the changes I'm talking about in it. Same kind of change.
Okay, what about Journey?
Journey's fine. Love Journey.
How about that guy's voice? He had that amazing.
Talking about the original singer or the guy that's replaced him?
No, the original singer with the most beautiful
100%.
countertenor voice that was so beautiful.
100%. Absolutely. He was amazing. It was an amazing voice. You can't get any higher than that, you know?
Speaking of amazing voices, have you heard Seth MacFarlane sing?
No, I haven't, actually.
He is super good. You got to listen to a video. He does show tunes and stuff.
Yes.
His voice is perfect.
Outstanding. Then he's got a singing background.
Yeah. It's like obviously well-trained and it is beautiful. It was so perfectly in tune, the most beautiful, smooth breath control. Everything about it is perfect. I'm like, whoa.
Wow.
I heard, wow, it's a good enough gimmick that Seth MacFarlane can sing it all, right? Wow. Then when you hear him, you're like, holy crap, this guy is super good.
It's all those little secrets about entertainers that you have, that you never know what's going on with them, what else it is they do, and other.
Yeah. But his deal was he originally wanted to be an animator for Disney, and that was his goal in life, was to animate Disney cartoons and stuff. Then he discovered that he could also write scripts for such things, and then I think
He's
the way it went
much
was
more a writer than anything else.
yeah.
The guy's a writer.
Plus a super good musician. That's one of the reasons why there's so many musical people on the Orville.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have to. If I get a chance to work with him again, I'll talk music with him because.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
You totally should. Like another really cool thing he did was there was an Orville episode where it's a bit of a gimmick. They figured out a way to do some kind of concert in the shuttle bay.
Yeah.
With an orchestra.
Yeah.
And they used the actual orchestra that they used to do all their background music.
Yeah.
And then, so it was just a way to appreciate them, and let them be on the show. Just there's a lot of really cool things like that happen in the Orville too, besides the great stories.
Right.
So yeah,
the producer. It's
yeah.
I'm gonna have to roll out of here. I'm gonna get.
Oh, whoops. Okay. Wow. Oh, well, it was 90 minutes instead of 60. Okay. So how do we wrap it up? So we need links to all your band. We didn't even mention the name of your band. It's like.
Oh, it's just
Tim Russ and the Rocket Casters or something.
It's Tim Russ Crew is the name of the band. Tim Russ Crew.
Tim Russ Crew. Okay.
Crew. I'm on Facebook and actually I post everything under my own Facebook page as well. So
okay.
It's on those Facebook pages and on Twitter I'll also post stuff as well under my name.
Oh, okay. So let's put all those links down there: your Facebook, your Twitter, and stuff.
Absolutely.
And then your YouTube channel. And any other stuff is there anything you want to promo right now besides your band?
Oh, I'll depending upon whether I can send links out for it's the project that I just finished working on not long ago. It's a supernatural thriller. I'll put a trailer link out for that, and people can check it out. Otherwise, the stuff I'm working on right now is just a pilot presentation, and I've got a feature project I'm supposed to shoot next spring. I don't have, there's not enough to put out, anything to put out about that just yet. So,
yeah, okay.
So I'll put the links to the music stuff and they'll have it, the music videos.
Okay.
And there's live performances here and there, but the music videos are a lot of fun to watch. And, and that'll be, if there's anything else I think of, I'll go ahead and put down those links. And then again, Facebook is just, it's Tim Russ. You type it in there, you're going to get both of those pages. And,
and those are the actual sort of artist actor pages. Those aren't your personal Facebook pages, right?
Yeah, those are me. It's basically me as a person. But yeah, I post, the articles, whether it's politics stuff or it's entertainment stuff that's on there. My music page, the band, has music clips and segments on it from me playing live. And also the music videos are on there as well. So
so we got to put those links down there.
Sure.
And then if people react to those Facebook pages or message to that, are you the one managing those pages? Like are they interacting with you?
I try to get to them. I don't spend a monster amount of time doing that because I don't have it. But
there's no secretary or admin that's doing it. They're actually.
It's just me.
So it's the actual Tim Russ. So if you leave a comment, that's actually Tim Russ commenting.
Yeah, I'll be able. Yeah, if I leave a comment on there, I would leave it personally.
Okay, cool.
If my sister sometimes has covered for me, if she covers for me, then she will say that Tim has done this or Tim is doing that or whatever. She would not say it was me.
Okay, and is it the same thing with your Twitter? So if people are tweeting at you,
Twitter,
you.
Twitter's all, and Twitter, I generally just post stuff. I mean, I could spend 4 lifetimes trying to read all the stuff that people have responded to. It's not. I haven't got time. I post it, you either dig it or you don't, and move on, and that's it. Because I don't have time. I actually have a life, and I gotta.
What? Actors have lives?
Yeah, I got stuff I gotta get done.
Or musicians?
Yeah,
musicians. You gotta practice. Yeah, you gotta play your scales. Gotta play your C major scales every day.
That's right. And I do, have to pick up the guitar, and I gotta play it.
Yeah, keep up the calluses, otherwise they'll go away.
And you do have to keep up the calluses. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. The biggest thing. Yeah.
Well, Tim, it's been a total pleasure.
Got it.
I was really hoping we could talk shop about music, and I think we had accomplished that. Yeah,
we got knee deep in the music.
Oh yeah.
All right, man.
All right, so I always have people do this, so I would hope that you remember how to do this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so live long and prosper,
Peace
my dear
Yeah.
Tim Russ, Tuvok, amazing musician. and so on.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you at the next convention or something like that.
Be there. I'll be at some of them in the future because they always come around. So
Come to Star Trek Mission Seattle.
I will do my best. I haven't been.
Dude, please come because if I'm getting a table, I'm going to be playing my cello. I'm going to just go into town.
Yes, they have to invite me to the con. So,
but I just invited you.
Well, yeah, I have to have like the promoter and
some money involved,
sales and travel, and all that hotel and all that good stuff. Yeah,
you can. We have a guest bedroom. You can stay at our house. Actually, the guest bedroom is this studio.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic creations emerging spontaneously from the space of life.
For the benefit of all beings everywhere.
We gotta